All right, Lukas Nelson, great to have you. Great to have you back. And I'm saying that for people that don't know, but we had Lucas on, but a little technical difficulties last time. Um, we're obviously huge fans of yours. Um,
Oh, thanks.
do you have it? Where are you right now? Are you in Chicago? Because your dad's performing in Chicago. I know a lot of times you're with Willie, but
No, I'm in Grand Junction, Colorado. I'm in Denver tomorrow.
I'm in Colorado, right down the
I
street
know.
here. I just
Actually,
told my
we were
wife, she
just.
got pissed. She's like, I'm like, I
Are you coming to see us tomorrow?
well, I was
Come
like,
out.
no, we didn't plan. She made plans. She's like, I'm like, I need. She's like, tell me ahead of time. I'm like, I got a lot of stuff
What
on my
about
mind. I didn't look at the schedule ahead of time. Like,
what about Saturday? We're in Fort Collins. It's not that far.
we'll see, we'll see. Like she was asking, like these days with the our son just turned 2, so
Oh yeah,
you gotta find a babysitter
yeah,
potentially
yeah,
if you want to go out and really get tore up. I did just get some of Willie's reserve. Just made its way out here though.
yeah.
I'll say that it's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
um,
Willie's Reserve is the I think it's the top selling brand in that area, which is great.
amazing.
Um, yeah, that's I like the pre-rolled joints.
That's what we got because that's what the
Yeah.
place had, and we're like, I'm like, that's a solid packaging right there.
Yeah, the tin is
Yeah.
super sick. Yeah, super
Um,
cool.
yeah, great job with that. So for you in the did you have any part of that?
No,
No.
but I'll take credit for it.
Just some samples and you're just like,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know how that
I
works. Like the creative process. Does the whole family get involved
we
or
do we
not?
have yeah we have a great team that has been running Willie's Reserve, and it's they've just been doing a really good job. And it's a pretty intense market, especially without the federal legalization. So,
Which
they've
is
been doing it for a long
ridiculous.
time. Yeah, and but we're just lucky to have a really good team that's doing it.
Yeah, doing a
So
great job.
when you guys are on the road, are you like pretty stocked up with Willie's Reserve, or do you kind of hit a dispensary, or do you not even partake that much at all? I mean, I imagine you do quite a bit, but
I actually don't smoke anymore on the road because
yeah.
it affects my voice. But there's
Mm.
always edibles, and there's all kinds of things that we can do. Um, and sometimes I get on in these zones where I go completely sober and just you know I've been on one of those lately, just sort of just to cleanse myself, and then I get back into it later on. And depends on. But it's as far as what we're rolling around with, that all depends on the legality of the state we're rolling in.
Yeah, I
Oh, I
imagine.
know. I mean, speaking of that, with Brittany
Yeah.
Griner, I don't know if you're following that in Russia. The
Oh
sentence came down
God.
today. So ridiculous. Just a political game. It's
Yeah,
just
well,
it's
hopefully,
crazy.
hopefully the U.S. can negotiate some sort of prisoner exchange or something that's more than what we had already suggested, because she just does not. I mean, that's just.
And it's like when you
Uh,
compare the person we're giving up to her, it's kind of like obviously not the baseball trade deadline just passed. It's like what you would call like an unfair trade, but it's like fuck it, like we can't have pie in our face, egg on our face, and not get this person out.
we
So
gotta get her out.
Well,
We
and
gotta get her out.
it's a whole nother conversation too about the people locked up for like smoking weed here in America
oh
too.
yeah, people
Like
forget about that.
maybe let them out too, you know,
Oh
while
yeah,
while
Yeah,
we're at it.
somebody just shared that. I forgot who
I
it
think
was.
Elon did, but point
yeah.
being,
Well,
like,
there's a lot of work being done trying to get those guys out of prison. Actually, the last administration, uh, I wasn't a fan mostly, but they did at the end of their administration get a lot of people out of
Yeah,
jail that were
that's true.
so I think that's a good thing. And I'm pretty right in the center politically, so I don't like to be political at all. But I thought that was a good thing. You know.
Oh yeah, we hear you on that. And yeah, I just hope like as time goes on politically, like not to get into it, but we can just find a way where it's logical and not really old people running everything. So
Totally.
it's across the board, like that's left, right, that's up and down, like whatever. But I mean, when
Well,
you see
I
stuff
just,
like this and people being in jail for weed all over the country, it's like, come on, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
but
I think the thing is that I just like the idea of being able to communicate and talk to one another and well, be friends with each other. And there's um, there's a lot to be said about just not not closing yourself off to communication, even if you
mhm,
disagree. And because I found that most of us really tend to agree. It's just these extreme talking points on both sides. They tend to be what is promoted more. And so
mhm.
it's like, I found that most people are more in the center than they realize. But anyways, let's talk about music.
Well, it kind of reminds me of your "Turn Off the News and Build a Garden" song in a sense,
Yeah,
which I felt like came out at such a time when it was
yeah,
very, very necessary. Was that kind of the impetus of that song in a sense?
yeah. It really was. I've got a lot of friends on both sides of the aisle, and really everybody can get behind the idea that, it's good to be informed, but at a certain point, uh, put the phone down, put the TV down, remote down, and get up and go do something about what you're passionate about, whether it's music or politics or whatever. But sitting around watching the news and just sort of getting told what's happening rather than going out and and interacting with the people in your community. I think that's really what the problem is that, like, if you go and you actually have conversations in person, not online, but in person with people, it forces you to have more. You're not you're. It's so easy to be just like this armchair. Just you can say whatever you want online. There's an anonymity. You people are more nasty, but when you're in person, you see that other person's humanity, and then I think innately you want to be able to find a common ground between,
Yeah,
how do
empathize.
you, yeah, and empathize. You have more empathy, I think, when you see people in person and when you're talking. I think it dehumanizes us to be online
Mhm.
all the time, and I think that's a problem. So, you know, but really, let's talk about music. let's, let's get away from this topic because
Well, we asked last time, we got to ask again. One of our movie we don't really post about movies very often, but Star is Born we did post about quite a bit, for a lot of reasons. You being one of
Christopherson
the
in the old one.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and you being a part of it, in the movie literally, but then also kind of working next to Bradley in some respect. And I think last time, if I'm not mistaken, you said he had like a voice coach, so he got pretty good, but you played a lot of the guitar. Was the What was that
I helped him.
experience
I
like?
helped him singing. He had a voice coach, but we sat and I helped him with his singing and his ability to look like he was playing guitar because I played all those parts. And I wrote the part to Shallow, and there's a lot of stuff that production wise and arrangement wise that we did, um, that I did in collaboration with Gaga and him, and we ended up writing 9 songs together. And actually, "Shallow" was one of my most proud arrangements, and with in collaboration with them. And so that was a pretty cool moment there. Uh, I was really. Dax Shepard has a podcast,
Mhm.
and Mark Ronson was on there, and I appreciated. He was saying some really nice things about my arrangement of "Shallow," which was cool. But we were a big part of the soundtrack of that, and the band was too. And but I was happy to work with those folks. It was a good time.
How did that all kind of come together?
I was playing with Neil Young at Desert Trip, and we Desert Trip was that they nicknamed it Old Cella. There was like 2 weekends of Neil and Paul McCartney and Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and Roger Waters and the Who, and that was 2 weekends. It was amazing. And Bradley was there, saw us on stage with Neil, and called Billy Gerber, the producer of The Stars Born, who my family knows, and Billy called me and said, "Hey, Bradley wants you to be an authenticity consultant on this."
Great gig.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it ended up being more than that because we ended up hitting it off and being friends. And then I started writing songs and sending them to him. And then I ended up being part of the writing team of that movie. And then when they got us in with the band and everything, I was, a pretty big part of production as well. So it just sort of snowballed from there.
Seems like the the music bug kind of has followed him with his next movie. He's his transformation's been crazy with the makeup, but he's Leonard Bernstein. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah.
I heard he's been working on that for a long time. He had a pause with it, and then but that was what he said he was working on next after Stars Born. At least he told me that that he had that concept really just sort of right after Stars Born. So he was really in that music mode, I think, and he felt inspired by the work that we did on Stars Born. I think it inspired him musically.
Awesome.
Have you ever
Yeah.
worked with anyone else in that kind of capacity where you're kind of like, whether it's a consultant or helping out or producing something that's like maybe a Hollywood project or a documentary, TV show, anything like that?
No, that was sort of my first foray into that world. Yeah.
Do you think it would be something you'd like be interested in doing again? Because I feel like your touch on the soundtrack and the movie in general was like really felt. I mean, by myself because I'm, I guess, familiar with your work, but it just,
Noticeable.
yeah, it seemed
Yeah.
like it really was a like really important part of that soundtrack.
Well, thanks. And, I would definitely be interested in working on that project again at some point in that capacity. It was it was an inspiring thing to have happen, and I learned a lot.
Do you still
When you
talk to
talk,
Bradley Cooper pretty regularly?
Yeah, we check in with each other here and there. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a busy guy.
yeah, he's a busy guy. He's a good looking
We
guy.
both are.
Yeah, that's true. Um, you did a cover which we posted. Great cover. Your buddy Luke Combs doing this,
Yeah.
and I feel like you have a kind of a nice, it's a refreshing wide variety of um, people out there doing their thing their way, who you kind of like to listen, whether it's Luke Combs in the mainstream and whoever else. Like who are some of the people today kind of that you're into mainstream and otherwise?
Well, Brandy Carlisle, Nikki Lane, um, is those guys. I like Zach Bryan. He's pretty cool. I like of course, Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson. Those guys are great. Randy Houser is a good buddy of mine. Jamie Johnson, uh, Morgan Wallen. I like on the mainstream side. I like Morgan. I like Miranda Lambert is awesome. She's a talent and amazing. And the list goes on. That's just in the country world. I'm a huge Adele fan. I think Adele is one of the greatest artists of
Yeah.
our time. And yeah, there's a friend of mine, Lily Miola, is doing really well. She just got the golden buzzer on America's Got Talent, and I grew up with her in Maui. She sang one of her original songs on that show, so I'm excited to watch her sort of trajectory, which has been, she's like a little sister to me, so that's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, I think we actually posted an article on Lily.
Oh, great,
Her
awesome.
getting that turnaround, not the turnaround, that's the voice, but like the buzzer from the judges, and kind of
Yeah,
phenomenal singer. And then part of the, obviously they used part of that story for like the intro to be like, oh, a friend of Willie Nelson's family and stuff like that, and growing up in Hawaii together. And but yeah, very talented, very talented. I was really impressed.
yeah, she's great.
I got to ask you about this story. Is it? I I think it's true. You chipped a tooth playing guitar with your teeth. Is that true? You tip What did I say? How did I just say that?
Chipped.
Chip there. Oh,
I still got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
just left it
you
there.
said that's like I gotta keep that because you don't want to fix it. It's just one of those things. It's like you did it, own it. How did it go? What's the story behind that?
Well, it's a long story actually. It kind of starts from when I was about 16 years old. See, when I was born and as I got older, I had big spaces in between my teeth, and I remember it this way. My mom says she remembers it differently, but I remember it as her saying that she thought that I think she even said, I have picket fence teeth and I need to get veneers to fill them in. And so I did eventually during high school do that. And I remember just when I saw myself in the mirror feeling really odd and weird, like it wasn't me. And eventually I learned how to grow with it, but a part of me, whether I wanted to before or not, a part of me sort of like regretted it, I guess, doing that just because it felt like it indicated just sort of like, well, that I wasn't happy with myself the way I came into the world, which
Yeah.
I was, and I don't know, maybe I was, in high school and sort of just, I don't remember wanting to do it but I kind of was convinced, but however it happened, I regretted it afterwards. And, and so when I was playing and I chipped my tooth, I liked the imperfection of it. I liked
Hmm.
that it was sort of, it was, you know, I just didn't, I don't like things that are perfect. I think
That's
that bothers me.
that's beautifully like spiritual and intrinsic, and I love that. Like you're just like, yeah, I like it. Because I told a story on the
Yeah.
podcast before where I chipped my tooth on a 7 a.m. airport beer. It's not
Yeah.
as exciting and not it doesn't have a lot of meaning behind it. It's when you're going to the dentist to get that fixed, it's like,
Yeah.
shit. Like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, I have not a big gap, but a decent size like gap between my two front teeth and never got it like fixed or corrected in any way. But I just remember as a kid being like, Dad, I have this big gap in my teeth. And he would just be like, oh, they'll grow together. Once you grow up,
Right.
they'll still straighten out. They'll be perfect. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it won't, man. You just don't want to buy me
Well,
any braces.
You don't want to get braces, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
real quick, I want to ask you too about obviously an all-time legend in your father and Willie, and it's it's a really cool relationship, kind of like what we see at least, where you'll play with them, you'll travel, you you know, we see tons of
Micah
YouTube videos.
too.
Yeah, exactly, and we've posted so many of these. The what's it like to still see your dad right now going the way he is, and still be able to be a part of that on the musical side of things? It seems to me like an incredible thing that you can do with your father, and then with that too, you like to sometimes cover the songs and stuff. Is that just the is there a particular song you like to cover most? Because we've posted a ton of them that have done really well actually on the site, so people love when they see the sun kind
Yeah.
of covering. Just that
Well, it's
whole
an
thing is
easy little, yeah. I think he's my favorite songwriter,
mm,
so he's just got so many good songs. And I feel like I'm at the point now where if somebody thinks sort of, that I'm just doing what he does, then I think they don't really know me, and I don't worry
right,
about that anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
right.
So, I written a lot of my own songs, and I've been working for a long time doing my own things. So when I cover him, it really is out of a desire for people of my generation and and younger to hear his music and to get into his music and to love it. And I want that to happen. I mean, he's 89 years old. And I'd love to keep that going forever.
Hmm.
As long as I can, because I find him to be a genius, brilliant lyricist, and he's touched my heart, musically, not only as a father. So, yeah, I mean, I really want to keep his music alive forever, and So I do it out of reverence, out of respect, for, you know, for the inspiration that he gave me, and the support that he gave me in terms of just being, telling me to go for it, and not, not really ever saying anything that would hold me back. And so I have everything. I owe everything to him. So yeah, I definitely like to occasionally cover his songs. But our shows are mostly original music,
Right.
Yeah.
and I play one or two covers. Sometimes I'll do "Just Breathe," or sometimes I'll do, which is a one we did Pearl Jam song we did
Mm-hmm.
together, he and I, and then one of my favorite songs that I like to cover is "Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground." I think that's one of his favorite, my favorite of his. Yeah.
You
Awesome.
also you mentioned Jamie Johnson earlier, and he's another one who does a lot of covers. Um, for that same reason you kind of just articulated about like carrying on these legacies of these great artists like Merle Haggard and your
Yeah.
father, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, etc. And I do think it's really important to kind of just continue that, and then this next crop generation of artists to kind of come on down and continue singing those songs, and then maybe the next generation who's 20 years old right now might, oh, I'm gonna sing a Willie song.
Unless it's TikTok, and then people are gonna think the person singing the song
Right.
recorded it or
Right.
originally recorded it, originally wrote it. And
Yeah,
Um,
that's
that's a whole
crazy.
different conversation. But
but it is
um,
important to keep that alive.
yeah. Well, Lucas, before we let you go, you and the band obviously in Colorado. What's the rest of the year looking like for you guys, tour wise,
Well,
music?
yeah, we
Um,
got a lot of stuff going on now, and then we're really almost done. We're working on a new record, and I've written a lot of songs, and I think we're pretty close to having that really. So we're sort of. I'm gonna spend a lot of this year trying to prepare for. I think it's the best work I've done, and it's a really really cool record, and it's fun, and it's really great to play live. I'm actually doing some of those songs live already, and it's really going over well. And they sound like classic songs, like that, like they're easy to remember and sing along to, even if you first hear them. And so I'm really excited about this record that's coming up, and it's one of those things where I can't wait to put it out, and it's actually I don't think I've ever been as excited about a record as I am now. So, and I'm telling the truth. I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty good, and then there's always something in the back of my mind saying, well, this could have been, that. But I've
mhm.
got something really special, and I'm really excited. So,
Well, we're gonna
Do
be
you,
sharing it once it's out. But
do you take
oh,
your band into the studio, or do you use like a lot of session guys?
no, no, it's all us. It's all the
Yeah,
band.
oh,
Yeah,
awesome, yeah,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's all the band. It's exciting. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
all right,
I've been
brother.
spending a lot more
Yeah,
time in Nashville too. I got a place in Nashville that I'm part-time there, so I'll probably be in Nashville quite a lot coming up.
awesome. Well,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lucas, stay safe on the road, and when that new music's ready, send it our way, and we'll make sure
Right
people
on.
people hear it.